to vote. I refer to the wholesale disfranchisement of Negro citizens. There is no need at this time of going minutely into the methods employed to bring about this condition or into the reasons given as justification for those methods. Neither am I called upon to give proof of my general statement that millions of Negro citizens in the South are disenfranchised. It is no secret. There are the published records of state constitutional conventions in which the whole subject is set forth with brutal frankness. The purpose of these state constitutional conventions is stated over and over again. That purpose being to exclude from the right of franchise the Negro, however illiterate, and to include the white man, however illiterate. The press of the South, public men and public utterances and representatives of those states in Congress have not only admitted these facts, but have boasted of them. And so we have it as an admitted and undisputed fact that there are upwards of 4 million Negroes in the South who are denied the right to vote, but who in any of the great northern, midwestern, or western states would be allowed to vote, would at least have the privilege of qualifying themselves to vote. Now, nothing is further from me than the intention to discuss this question, either from an anti-South point of view or from a pro-Negro point of view. It is my intention to put it before you purely as an American question, a question in which is involved the political life of the whole country. Let us first consider this situation as a violation, not merely a violation, but a defiance of the Constitution of the United States. The 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution are taken together, expressed so plainly that a grammar school boy can understand that the Negro is created a citizen of the United States. And that as such, he is entitled to all the rights of every other citizen. And that those rights, specifically among them, the right to vote, and shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state. This is the express meaning of these amendments, in spite of all the sophistry and fallacious pretense which have been invoked by the courts to overcome it. There are some, perhaps even here, who feel that a serious a matter to violate or deny one amendment to the Constitution than another. Such persons will have in mind the 18th Amendment. This is true in a strictly legal sense, but any sort of analysis will show that violation of the two Civil War amendments strikes deeper. As important as the 18th Amendment may be, it is not fundamental. It contains no grant of rights to the citizen, nor any requirement of service from him. It is rather a sort of welfare regulation for his personal conduct and for his general moral uplift. But the two Civil War amendments are grants of citizenship rights and a guarantee of protection in those rights. And therefore, their observation is fundamental and vital not only to the citizen, but to the integrity of the government. What becomes of our democracy when such conditions of inequity as these can be brought about through chicanery, to the open violation of the law and defiance of the Constitution? in inequality of political power among the states. All this may be justified by necessity. In fact, the justification is constantly offered. The justification goes back and makes a long story. It is grounded in memories of the Reconstruction period. Although most of those who were actors during that period have since long died. And although there's a new South and a new Negro, the argument is still made that the Negro is ignorant. The Negro is illiterate. The Negro is venal. The Negro is inferior, and therefore, for the preservation of civilized government in the South, he must be debarred from the polls. This argument does not take into account the fact that the restrictions are not against ignorance, illiteracy, and venality, because by the very practice by which intelligent, decent Negroes are debarred, ignorant and illiterate white people are included. Is this pronounced desire on the part of the South for an enlightened franchise sincere? And what has been the result of these practices during the past 40 years? What has been the effect socially, intellectually, and politically on the South? And all three of these vital phases of life in the South, the South is, of all sections of the country, at the bottom. Socially, it is that section of the country where public opinion allows it to remain. The only spot in the civilized world, more than that, we may count in the blackest spots of Africa and the most unfrequented islands of the sea. It is a section where public opinion allows it to remain the only spot on the earth where a human being may be publicly burned at stake. And what about its intellectual and political life? As to intellectual life, I can do nothing better than quote from Mr. H.L. Mencken himself, a Southerner. In speaking of the intellectual life of the South, Mr. Mencken says, "It is indeed amazing to contemplate so vast a vacuity. One thinks of the interstellar spaces of the colossal reaches of the now mythical ether. One could throw into the South France, Germany, and Italy, and still have room for the British Isles. And yet, for all its size and all its wealth and all the progress it babbles of, it is almost as sterile artistically, intellectually, culturally as the Sahara Desert. If the whole of the late Confederacy were to be engulfed by a tidal wave tomorrow, the effect on the civilized minority of men in the world would be but little greater than that of a flood of the Yangtze Kiang. It would be impossible in all history to match so complete a drying up of a civilization. In that section, there is not a single poet, not a serious historian, a credible composer, not a critic or bad or good, not a dramatist dead or alive. In a word, it may be said that this whole section, where at the cost of the defiance of the Constitution, the perversion of law, stultification of men's consciousness, injustice and violence upon a weaker group, the purity of the ballot has been preserved and the right to vote restricted to only lineal survivors of Lathrop Stotter's mystical Nordic Superman. That intellectually it is dead and politically it is rotten. If this experiment in super democracy had resulted in 1/100th of what was promised, there might be justification for it. But had the result has been made the South a section not only which Negroes are denied the right to vote, but one in which white men dare not express their honest political opinions. Talk about political corruption. Though the buying of votes here is political corruption, which makes a white man fear to express divergent political opinion. The actual and total result of this practice has been not only the disenfranchisement of the Negro, but also the disenfranchisement of the white man. The figure which I quoted a few moments ago prove that not only Negroes are denied the right to vote, but that white men fail to exercise it. And the latter condition is directly dependent upon the former. The whole condition is intolerable and should be abolished. It has failed to justify itself even upon the grounds which it claimed, made it necessary. Its results and its tendencies make it more dangerous and more damaging than anything which might result from an ignorant and illiterate electorate. Now, how this iniquity might be abolished is, however, another story. I said that I did not intend to present this subject either anti-South or pro-Negro, and I repeat that I have not wished to speak with anything that approached bitterness towards the South. Indeed, I consider the condition of the South unfortunate, more than unfortunate. The South is a state of superstition, which makes it see ghosts and boogeymen. Ghosts, which are the creation of its own mental process. With a free vote in the South, the specter of Negro domination would vanish into thin air. There, it would naturally follow a breaking up of the South into two parties. There would be political light, political discussion, the right to differences of opinion, and the Negro vote would naturally divide itself. No other procedure would be probable. The idea of a solid party, a minority party at that, is inconceivable. But perhaps the South will not see the light. Then I believe, in the interest of the whole country, steps should be taken to compel compliance with the Constitution. And that should be done through the enforcement of the 14th Amendment, which calls for a reduction and representation in proportion to the number of citizens in any state denied the right to vote.
Hold out your light, heaven-bound soldiers. Hold out your light, heaven-bound soldiers. Hold out your light, heaven-bound soldiers. Let your light shine around this world. Hold out your light, heaven-bound soldiers, hold out your light. Heaven-bound soldiers, hold out your light. Heaven-bound soldiers, let your light shine around this world. Oh, brother, won't you hold out your light? Oh, brother, won't you hold out your light? Oh, brother, won't you hold out your light? Let your light shine around this world. Hold out your light, ye heaven-bound soldiers. Hold out your light, ye heaven-bound soldiers. Hold out your light, ye heaven-bound soldiers. Let your light shine around this world. Oh, sister, won't you hold out your light? Oh, sister, won't you hold out your light? Oh, sister, won't you hold out your light? Let your light shine around this world. Oh, Oh, brother, oh, Christian, won't you hold out your light? Let your light shine around this world. Oh, hold out your light. Ye heaven-bound soldiers, hold out your light. Ye heaven-bound soldiers, hold out your light. Ye heaven-bound soldiers, let your light shine around this world. Let your light shine around this world. Let your light shine around this world.
And now, I cannot sit down after all without saying one word for the group of which I am a member. The Negro, in the matter of the ballot, demands only that he should be given the right as an American citizen to vote under the identical qualifications required of other citizens. He cares not how high those qualifications are made, whether they include the ability to read and write or the possession of $500 or knowledge of the Einstein theory, just so long as these qualifications are impartially demanded of white men and black men. In this controversy, over which have been waged battles of words and battles of blood, where does the Negro himself stand? The Negro, in the matter of the ballot, demands only that he be given his right as an American citizen. He is justified in making this demand because of his undoubtable Americanism. An Americanism which began when he first set foot on the shores of this country more than 300 years ago, antedating even the Pilgrim Fathers. An Americanism which has woven him into the woof and the warp of the country, and which has impelled him to play his part in every war in which their country has been engaged, from the Revolution down to the late World War. Through his whole history in this country, he has worked with patience, and in spite of discouragement, he has never turned his back on the light. Whatever may be his shortcomings, however slow may have been his progress, however disappointing may have been his achievements, he has never consciously sought the backward path. He has always kept his face to the light and continued to struggle forward and upward in spite of the obstacles, making his humble contributions to the common prosperity and glory of our land. And it is his land. With considerable conscious pride, the Negroes say, "This land is ours by right of birth. This land is ours by right of toil. We help to turn its virgin earth. Our sweat is in its fruitful soul." Where once the tangled forest stood, where flourished once rank weed and thorn, behold the path trace, peaceful wood, the cotton white, the yellow corn. To gain these fruits that have been earned, to hold these fields that have been won, our arms have strained, our backs have burned, bent bare beneath a ruthless sun. That banner, which is now the type of victory on field and flood, remember its first crimson stripe and dyed by addicts' willing blood. And never yet has come the cry, when that fair flag has been assailed, for men to do, for men to die, that we have faltered or have failed. The Negro stands as a supreme test of the civilization, Christianity, and the common decency of the American people. It is upon the answer demanded of America today by the Negro that there depends the fulfillment or the failure of democracy in America. I believe that that answer will be the right and just answer. I believe that the spirit in which American democracy was founded, though often turned aside and often thwarted, can never be defeated or destroyed, but that ultimately it will triumph. If American democracy cannot stand the test of giving to any citizen who measures up to the qualifications required of others, the full rights and privileges of American citizenship, and we had just as well abandoned that democracy in name as in deed. If the Constitution of the United States cannot extend the arms of protection around the weakest and humblest of American citizens as around the strongest and proudest, then it is not worth the paper it is written on. Poet, novelist, and United States diplomat, James Weldon Johnson, New York City, March 10th, 1923.
Over a way that and tears. Thou who hast brought us thus far along the way. Thou who hast by thy might led us into the precious light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Bless our feet straight from the places, our God, where we met thee. Bless our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. True to our God, true to our native land. True to our God, true to our native land. Oh, yeah.
Bravo.